All right, I am live. I am live. Hey, John, how you doing? Welcome to another episode. Let me turn turn that good old camera on. Welcome to another episode of Support Advice Live. Thank you so much for joining. I so much appreciate you. We are not streaming on all platforms today. We are streaming on select platforms such as TikTok live as well as YouTube live. So we're not streaming on Facebook today, but we are on call in. So definitely feel free to join us there. Bit.ly slash all cap supportive advice live. If you want to comment, definitely feel free to do so. I'm watching the chat as much as possible. And again, feel free to call in. Hey, J Jack. Hey, Leslie. How you doing? Um, so I see Dante is on. Dante, I am going to make you a speaker. Oh, see, that's why I like you, Dante, aka Mr. Machismo. Okay, so I'm going to invite him to speak. All right, so you have been invited to speak. Hey, Drew, how you doing? Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Dante, I can't hear you. Let me see. Go on phone here. Nope, I'm not hearing Dante. Hold on, give me one sec. I'm sure it's something I'm doing over here. Hello? I'm good. How are you? I'm having a hard time hearing you. Did you have a question? I am doing a live podcast, a live therapy podcast. Did you have a question, concern, complaint? Oh, okay. He's gone. So, yeah, that's what we're doing here, guys. So, if you're just popping on, please make sure that if you do ask to join and I bring you on, that you are well aware that we are doing a live podcast. So, there you go. Um, so, let me see here. I'm just looking at the everything, I guess. I don't know. I don't even know if anyone can hear me. So, hopefully, you can. Hey, Drew, if you can hear me, add a message. If you can hear me, add a message, Drew, so I know that you can hear me because I can't hear anything. Yay! Thank you, Drew. I appreciate you. Thank you. Okay, so let me try to figure out this audio here. Just give me one sec. Mm-mm. A lot of people are trying to like join. Hey, Brian. If you have any questions, concerns, complaints, mental health questions, mental health concerns, I don't even know if I want to deal with any mental health complaints, but I mean, unless it's like symptoms or whatnot that you're going through, then yeah, I'll be happy to talk to you about that. Feel free to join in. Okay. Accept. Hello, how are you? Oh, okay. There's two of you. All right. So I'm doing a live podcast, a live therapy podcast. Hi, Lyric. Did you guys have any questions, concerns, complaints? Okay. Looks like no. Emily? Hey yo. Okay, so I'm trying to get into to my topic today and I don't know what is happening here. Let me see. I'm gonna put it here. Okay, Dante, say something. I can hear you. I knew I was doing something wrong. You know how that goes, right? Okay, no problem. I would like shoulder deep in my fridge when you ask. Oh no, no problem, Drew. No problem. Um, I wish I was shoulder deep in my fridge right about now. Thanks. Um, so Dante, Mr. Mochismo. Um, I thank you for disconnecting. TikTok is very interesting. A lot of people come on, they want to like join live, they come, they show their face, if they have nothing, absolutely nothing to say or contribute. It's the funnest thing, right? No, no, it's not. So anyway, I kind of wanted to if you follow, you can go live together again. No, I don't want to go live with them again, but thank you, I appreciate you. I only want to go live with individuals that actually are going to contribute to my podcast. So if that's not what you're trying to do, please stop requesting to go live on my podcast. Thanks. I appreciate it. So, with that being said, I wanted to kind of talk about gender roles, and I wanted to test the temperature on that. Um, there's a lot going on. I'm a marriage and family therapist, so that's kind of where I live. And when I'm dealing with families, there's a lot of combined gender roles. And so Dante, Mr. Mochismo, since I have you, um, what do you think about gender roles and how religion contributes, whether that is negatively or positively, on gender roles? Ah, spicy. Well, let's see where you take it. Mr. Machismo. Where's the blur? But I am wondering in this, why is that considered a blur? What if, and this is just me spitballing here, this is the way that it was supposed to be all along, and before was the blur. Mhm. Okay. I did. I very much did. I put right in that one, didn't I? Wow. Are you talking about the Bible? Is that the book? Oh, oh, we're talking about the Bible. Oh, well, of course we are, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Did I ruin that for you? I apologize. Mhm. I wish you could see my face right now. Must- Yes, I think that is a great word there, the cringe, right? So I want to. So I see where you're going with this, and I want to say that I completely respect the direction in which you're going, but I want to also talk about it from a societal aspect, right? Societal viewpoint. Why? There were reasons why things had to be a certain way, right? Women used to be property, right? We weren't considered human beings. We weren't able to vote. We weren't able to read. We weren't able to, I don't know if I said this already, own property. We weren't even able to leave the house without either a brother, or our father, or a male escort that was a husband. There were dowries for women. So if you had a girl, you had to pay um a dowry for your daughter to be able to go into another family, so then you no longer had to financially support her. So there's a lot of different scenarios that supported that way of being that no longer exist. They no longer exist. I can own property. I own this house that I'm sitting in right now, and so I can own property. I can go outside without a male escort. I can get a degree. I have a master's degree. I'm getting a doctoral degree as we speak. I don't need a man to provide for me. I am a provider. So, like, at what point is that picture relevant, and why is it so exclusive? Yes, we can. Mhm. like that. And we feast. People are gonna people. That's why I have a job every day, right? As a therapist, because people are gonna people all the time. They're gonna and they're gonna feel and they're gonna want and they're gonna create and they're gonna destroy and they're gonna do many, many different things, And so in that I want to say there are female breadwinners, there are male breadwinners, there are males who actually enjoy staying home and being with the children, you know and there are some women that are not maternal. The thought process that what we talking about today. Well, hey Randy, how you doing? I'm so glad you're back. We are actually talking about gender roles, and it's becoming a pretty spicy topic because we are adding in um the influence of religion on said gender roles, and also religious bias around them. So I'm glad you're doing good, Randy, and I'm glad that you're back. So anyway, with that being said, um, those same gender roles shame the male that wants to be at home just as much as it shames the woman that is the head of the household. It doesn't just affect the woman, it affects the woman and the man. Partnership has to do with what your strengths are. A successful partnership highlights your strength. If your strength is to go out and work, and maybe as a woman you're not maternal, you have children but you just don't have that maternal nature, and I'm not saying that's me. I'm very maternal, but whatever. um and even that, even me saying that, and that need for people to know that I was maternal, that even goes into a gender role, because why should I care whether or not you guys think I'm maternal? But at the end of the day, that doesn't make me a good person or a bad person, but it's so ingrained in me that I had to sprinkle that in just so that you guys could say, oh yeah, she's a good person, you know oh, she must be a good mom, right? But at the end, anyway, as I was saying, it doesn't matter, because the males can have a nurturing aspect, where a female might be the one that wants to go outside the home and do other things. That's their strength. Maybe the female is better with finances, and the male is better with cleaning and organizing. Maybe he likes to do that. Does that make him less than a man? Does that not make her an ideal female, because she doesn't like to spend her time washing dishes and straightening up the house and running after kids? It's like that picture is so outdated. Women hear from God just like men do. Women are capable of hearing from God just like men. Even in the Bible, it talks about that. And a lot of times it was the wives that were telling the husbands what were, I mean, I'm just saying, what I'm saying, what needed to be going on, you know. And so there was Deborah oh, there you go. There you go. Chloe, Deborah, thank you, Mojo. So, with that being said, there are strong women, and let's not get into how they chose the books that went into the Bible based on King James, and also based on um how it correlated to the story of Jesus, because there's a lot of books that didn't even make it into the Bible, including books that were written by who? You guessed it, women. So so that God speaks to man and then man speaks to women. That's so outdated. And I don't even know if it's really true. Say it. Oh, wait. I want to hold that thought. Hey, my uncle's on here. Hey, hey, how you doing? I see you. And yes, King James was a disturbed person. Yeah, I'm with you. I just believe over time men are systematically weakened. I think that that is a good point. I think that that is a good point, and I think that a lot of that comes from males being outside of the household, which has a lot to do with how, especially in African American communities, males were strategically extracted from the household during slave times, right? And then they were sent out into the field. They were killed. They were specifically separated. They separated the family system, and we're still juggling that. We're still juggling homes with single mothers, fathers not being present, fathers not knowing how to be fathers because they didn't have a father, dealing with resentment, dealing with the anger, of that. But I don't want to go too far off where you were, Dante, Mr. Machismo. No, but I appreciate all viewpoints, and they're all important. They're all important. And so with that being said, I think my point, whoa. Okay. All right. Mojo, I'm gonna pick that up in a second. I saw what you dropped off. I'm gonna pick that up. So with that being said, um I think that there's just not the need, socially and societally, for these different things to still be in place. You know, who's to say what a man has to be? So you have to be super masculine unless you're not a male. You can't be nurturing. You can't be the person who again stays home with the kids and actually enjoys it. That can't be you. And then if you're a female and you're assertive, then you're aggressive, right? Or you're too masculine, right? But what exactly was expected? If you have enough females that are raising children by themselves, having to provide for children by themselves, having to create identities around being a parent, being a student, being a full-time provider, but maybe don't have as much opportunity to create identities around being a wife, or being a significant romantic partner outside of sexual interest. Then you get what you get from that. And so what you find is a lot of women that are teaching their daughters how not to need a man. And also, just before you get started, Mr. Mochismo, my girl here, and I ain't trying to stir up nothing, but this is a podcast. My girl here, says you call her aggressive. Can we talk about that a second? Oh, oh, oh. All right. So I'm gonna pause you there. Honest question, because I have thoughts and I know that's dangerous sometimes. Why does the African American community believe in a religion that was brought to your ancestors at the end of a whip? Wouldn't true emancipation be the shrug off of the faith of the oppressor and the expectations of family structure associated? I like that. I like that. I like that. And that brings me to a TikTok. That brings me to a TikTok where where this one pastor, this Caucasian pastor, was talking about slavery, which he said happened 100 years ago. You can see where that's going, and so he says that the good black people, took in the faith, and the nice Caucasian people, um the nice yeah, the nice Caucasian people built churches, and taught us how to read the Bible, and so yeah, I hear that point of view. Um but when I think Christianity, I try not to think about the vessel in which it was brought, but the substance in which it contains. Um, and what I mean by that is, when I think of Christianity, I don't think of how it was initially introduced, but I think about Jesus, and I think about um how slavery was depicted in the Bible, and how it saddened, God, and how he sent people to overthrow, slave owners, so that we could be equal. And I feel like that happened over and over and over and over and over again throughout history. you know whether or not it was something that I learned because my great 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 grandmother was a slave, or whether it was something that I learned by choice. I feel like it's more important the substance of it. I don't want to throw away the baby with the bathwater. I don't want to throw away the faith system, the belief, the relationship with Christ, the relationship with God, just because of how it was introduced. Like, I think that you can keep the substance, and push away the vessel, and still get everything that you need from it. Absolutely. Drew, that was a really good point. What I want you to type in the comments, Drew, what religion, if any, do you think would be significant for African American individuals to follow, if any? And while he's typing that in the comments, Dante, I'm gonna take a step back. See, that's the great thing about the fact that I can move around and move around a lot. All right, so Mojo and Dante. So what what exactly did you find aggressive? And did it have anything to do with gender roles, or was it just a personality trait in general? Okay. Hey, Lucille. Right, right. Okay. So then what I'm really hearing, and this is as deep as I'm going to get into it because like I said, I'm not here to stir anything up, but what I'm hearing is that the word aggressive was not used as a slight towards female masculinity, or a woman that is a head of a household, or anything like that. It was more a personality clash, which is, remember, we don't say no names now. Okay. So I'm gonna hit back TikTok pan nationalism. When I had specifically asked a question, and that question was, to Drew. It was directed to Drew. What religion, or you know yeah, I'm just gonna go with religion. You know, does he think that us as African Americans should follow? And then I got a hit on my that's it. Where you go? And then I got a hit on my TikTok, and it said pan nationalism. And so then I had asked Drew what he thinks of pan nationalism. And I also want to hit Mojo. Yes, for me it was personal experience, but I think that the point that he's making is the idea of it from the beginning. Like, how would we even know, you know what to call that experience if it wasn't handed to us through slavery? But then again, there's a lot of African Christians, Africans that they were born in Africa, they live in Africa, they stay, you know what I'm saying? So like there's a lot of African Christians as well. A lot of strong, very, 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 very strong African Christians. And so, they understand different concepts. They also are very big in deliverance and things of that nature, which they're very strong in those concepts as well. So I again go back to not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. The way that it was taught to us, the manner in which it was fed to us, was it inappropriate? Absolutely. Do I believe in slavery? Absolutely not. Was slavery all through the Bible? Yes, it was. Did Christians participate? Did the or well, not Christians? Did the people of God participate in slavery? Yes, they did. Were they also slaves? Yes, they were. So at the end of the day, that is what that is, but through that comes understanding, comes personal relationship. I just feel like it opened the door for something that we needed, even though it wasn't a way that any of us would have wanted to have received it. And I don't think that as African Americans, we take in and accept religion the way that it was taught to us when our ancestors were slaves. Like, I think that we very much have utilized it, and it has nope, and it has become a strength for us. You know, the slaves used it to empower themselves. So something that might have been meant to subdue them, at some point, something that might have been meant to quiet them, to make them more obedient, ended up being something that made them feel like they could overcome the very thing that was oppressing them. So I get that, again, the vessel itself was not ideal, and that's not, I think way more about slavery than it being not ideal. But even though the vessel was not ideal, I feel as though it was something that we needed to learn, because it made us stronger as people. It made us stronger as African Americans, and it kept us going past that point, and it keeps us going to this day. Dante, where did you go? Uh, so so there's that. I don't know what pan nationalism is. Can anybody join? If anybody knows what that is, and can we get these likes up? Can we get these likes up? I at least want to get to 2,000, and that's low. That's low, but I at least want us to get to 2,000. So if anybody knows what pan nationalism is, um, explain, because I'm not 100% sure. I feel like I've heard of it, and I have I'm googling, right? Okay, a specific term used mainly in social sciences as a designation for those forms of nationalism that aim to transcend, overcome, expand traditional boundaries of basic or historical national identities in order to create a higher. Oh, okay. All right, Uncle. I hear you. You know, um, but how would that actually look, like, from, taking religion from the aspect it is now? Like, how would that actually look? Would that be throwing out the rules of the Bible, which I'm not uh I'm not opposed to that, you know what I'm saying? Because they don't really bode well for females anyway. But but would that be, what would that be? What would that consist of? I mean, going beyond and creating new boundaries. I'm all about that. But what would it consist of? What would we actually be breaking past? What would we keep? What would we throw away? you know and yes, Mojo, it definitely is about experience. My belief, my spirituality is all based off of experience. I am one person who would say 150,000 times or more that there's a lot of things in the Bible I absolutely don't agree with. Like, 150, I don't agree with it. But that does not change my relationship, because my relationship isn't built on the Bible, is built on just that relationship. Um, Dante, boo. I'm gonna need you to get your phone back on, or get in the chat or something. Dante, did that answer your question at all? Sarah is brother. I hit some buttons by mistake. Because what is that? The first edition of Bible was in Africa. All right. Who is Sarah is brother? Can I get you as a speaker? Can you go into the caller section? Oh, it's Dante. Mr. Mochismo. You know that's your name, right? Mr. Mochismo. So anyway, um oh, yeah, I can't help you. You muted. I don't know what's going on. I can't. How do I get off you? I don't know. Let me see. Let me see. Make next call. That's all I can do. I can't do that else. I can't do that else. So fact. All right. What's going on with you? Oh my gosh, what was happening there? Let me invite you to be a speaker. And then I also and Mo, I invited you to be a speaker as well. Um I like having two strong opinions and voices. So I'm invite to speak. And then Mo invite you to speak too, because why not? And okay, so I invited both people to speak. So yeah, okay, so we're gonna try to make sure Dante does not get on mute again. And so yeah, so basically elaborate on what you were saying when you said, oh, I decline. Oh, okay. Well, that's okay. Explain what you the context behind the you said the first Bibles were in Africa. Not right now. Yeah. No. Say that. Because my husband wouldn't look like that. But but is that but is that really a fair expectation that there be no tension, right? Hey Jennifer, hey Wanda. Respectfully, this is single bars. So, and I actually used to watch The Sopranos, so I'm with you there. But I do want to kind of bounce this a little bit because as I hear you focusing in on roles and how you say that when you know your role, it decreases unnecessary tension. I have someone in the chat saying that there should be no gender roles and just being able to play off one another and play off your strengths, and I'm adding to what that person said. I just talk. Well, what is your role? What is it based on? Okay. But that also comes with desperation and pressures, which goes right back to religion and how they the pressures that they put on women and men to have these specific roles and to be in a relationship as though they can't function outside of having a woman can't function outside of having a male and the male can't function without having a woman, which is not true. I did. Thank you. Say that. It sounds like you describing marriage though, in all honesty. I mean, who likes each other all the time? And that's what we have you on the show. That's exactly why we have you. That doesn't mean I'm not gonna challenge, right? But that is exactly why we have you on the show, is because we want that opinion. It's a strong opinion and it's important. Yeah. I know where you got. Of course. Absolutely. But but I want to address something that you said here. You said, um, choosing the people that you're around based on your how you guys get along, and whether you guys are like minded, and I challenge that because that type of those types of relationships can limit growth. It's the people that make you uncomfortable. It's the people that challenge you. It's the people that don't allow you to stay the same, that help with your evolution. And so, if we're only around individuals that are like minded or that share our perspective or whatever the case may be, then we lack the opportunity for growth. We lack the opportunity for change. We lack the opportunity to evolve. Mhm. Mhm. Just hey, call it out. Mr. Mochismo, Mr. Mochismo. I'm going to go back, right? And I'm going to say that your spouse, your significant other, is the person that you typically have the most interaction with, ideally, right? And so if that person is not challenging you, you are missing a large opportunity for growth. If that person is not introducing anything new to you, if that person doesn't create scenarios that make you uncomfortable, that cause you to grow, stretch, and change, you are missing a large, extremely large opportunity for growth. You can disagree. I just want to throw that out there. That's okay. Hey, what is a sturdy discussion? Help me out. So I want to go back to inside of the house because we're talking about gender roles. And now I could be wrong, and I'm okay with being wrong, and sometimes I hope that I am. But what you're describing takes me back to how religion plays into the idea of different genders, because it sounds like a very submissive person that you're talking about, like somebody that's not going to argue. Now I understand if you're saying that even if there is a disagreement, it won't be to a point where there's malintent, and this person will always have my best interest at heart, and with that I can agree. But when it comes to a point where it's like, okay, that I never expect there to be an argument, I don't know if that's realistic, Mr. Machismo. Yes. I'm listening. Did those Mhm. Have you ever been in a relationship where everybody was on 100? I mean, I haven't. So, that actually brings me to another something else I saw. I'll just throw that out there, where it very clearly, it was a woman who said people think that marriage is 50-50. It's BS. Marriage is never 50-50. And their idea was to quantify what they had to contribute at any given time. And so, for instance, if I have 60, but my partner, he's like, I have 20, right? Well, 60 and 20, that doesn't equal 100, right? So now we have to then sit down and figure out how we're going to get through this deficit without tearing each other apart. So I like that concept because it takes away this idealization of contextualism, that everything is equal, when in reality, partnership is about picking up the rest, like picking up the spread. Partnership is, okay, I have 60, you got 30. Okay, how do we get through this without tearing each other apart? Because a lot of times, and this is what happens in a lot of marriages, this is where it goes completely left, is that there is a lot of deficit. There's a lot of deficit. And so instead of looking inward, we start blaming our partner for the deficit. But no, I've never been in a relationship where everyone was on 100. I do good, getting 50, 60, 50, 60%, because that's human nature. People by nature are self-focused. So people are going to bring themselves, yes, but are they going to bring 100% of their focus, 100% of their attention, 100% of empathy in the relationship at all times? I don't know. I've never seen it. That sounds amazing. Mhm. But even in your account, what I'm really hearing you say is you've experienced someone giving 100%. But even in that, you said that there were points and times where you can recognize that you weren't giving 100, which takes me back to my point that two people giving 100 both at the same time is quite rare. I've never seen it. Now I've received 100, and in all honesty, if we're talking about commitment, if we're talking about just the want to be in a relationship, I've had people want to be in a relationship more than I wanted to be in a relationship with them, and they were giving 100% and an extra 20, and I was giving it a good 15. I mean, I've been there. I've been in relationships where I wanted the relationship more than the other person, and so my commitment level, my drive for the relationship was at 100. Theirs was at a good, I don't know, 40, 50 on a good day. But when I'm talking about contextualism, I'm talking about equality within the relationship. I'm talking about emotional investment. I'm talking about mental investment. And I'm not talking about in the commitment of the relationship, but in making the relationship whole daily. Transgenerational success. See, we hear transgenerational curses, but that's a transgenerational success. When you see when you see it, but I think that it really depends on what you mean by 100, because again, there's different types of percentages that we're throwing out there. Now, there's one thing to say that someone is 100% committed, where whether or not we're having a good day or a bad day, I'm committed to being in this relationship. I'm committed to my partnership with you. That I've seen. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a different type of I'm talking about understanding that your partner as well as yourself are human, that there are going to be things that take away from your 100 throughout the day, when you're at work, when you're talking to other people, when you're around people, drain your battery all the time. And so it's important to understand that your partner is human just as yourself. And even though their commitment to the relationship may be 100%, they might not be emotionally there 100% every day, and so a partnership, like you said, is balance. When your partner comes in and they're absolutely exhausted, that's not a time to expect 100% from them. That is a time to say, I see you, and this is where I pick up the slack. And then there's going to be days where you come in and maybe you've had a bad day, or maybe someone has stripped you of your last bit of patience. And that's not the time for your partner to start trying to pull 100% out of you, because they're not gonna get it. That is the time for your partner to say, hey, this is where I show my commitment to this relationship by coming alongside you and us making this 100 together. And if we can't make 100 because maybe we're both broken today, because that does happen, where people are, they have experiences that break them down throughout the day. And maybe we're having a day where we're both broken. My 100% commitment to the relationship is what gets me to sit down at the table with you and tell you where I am emotionally and mentally, so that we can get through this deficit without hurting each other. Okay. You're not looking for your partner to be even with you, which is a contextual standpoint. You're just saying that you want your partner to give the best of what they have to offer. And I'm feeling good, Randy. How are you? So, yes, giving the best that you've got is great, as long as there is an understanding that sometimes there's a sick day, and and that best might not look that great, and there's going to be times where, and I mean, and this is just realistically, just human beings in general, there's just going to be times where I'm weak, and I need you to be strong, or you're weak in an area and I need you to be strong. Or maybe again, we're both just having a day where like we are our patience is done, our temper is high, you know, and we can barely muster up a smile. You know, my 100% is exactly going to be me saying, listen, hey, the day that I had, I can't. And because I don't want to damage you at all, you know, by lashing out, because of whatever was going on, that 9 times out of 10 doesn't have anything to do with you. I'm just going to keep my distance today. Oh, okay, like, and that person's so what I'm hearing you say is that person's 100 for that day doesn't necessarily have to be a 100. You know, it can be the best of whatever it is that they can give on that given day, which basically mirrors kind of what I was saying, which is basically quantifying the amount of energy that you have to invest, the amount of patience that you have to invest to continue in a whole relationship, you know, and having a commitment that we are not going to harm each other, you know, even when we are having bad days, you know, and even when we want to lash out, and even when our patience is low and our tempers are high, we're going to do the very best that we can to make sure that it doesn't damage our relationship. I always tell couples, have a goal, you know, because a lot of times being married after a certain amount of time, you lose this goal. You know, couples will say, well, in the beginning of the relationship, we will bounce back really quickly from bad days, arguments, things like that. And I'll ask them, well, what was the goal? You know, well, we just wanted to get back to, you know, this place of love. Okay, so when did that stop being the goal? Because as long as that's the goal, that's the bounce back. When did it go from that being the goal to you being right being the goal? Them being right being the goal. You know, when did it turn from us trying to make sure that this relationship stays copacetic, and that, you know, I'm looking out for your best interest, you're looking out for mine, to all of a sudden I'm looking out for me and you're only looking out for you. You know, let's get back to that goal. And I think that having that goal in mind is what helps bounce us back, is what helps bounce me back in my relationship. You know, I don't have to like what you said, you don't have to like what I said, but if the goal is for us to get back to a good place in our relationship, and for us to get back into that loving place, it bounces us back just that much faster. And it sounds like that's a concept that you plan to utilize throughout your relationships. I mean, And that's actually a love language. It's called it's a form of quality time where you're not necessarily doing the same thing, partaking in the same activity. However, you are in the same room, you are in one another's presence, and so that is, yes, definitely a form of quality time. I'm not going to stay too long on this because I think that we wrapped up our discussion as it relates to gender roles. I do feel like there is a lot of religious bias that still exists, unfortunately, as it relates to women and men and what they're supposed to do within their relationships, which can cause a lot of unnecessary conflict within the relationship. Um, if you have a significant other that doesn't necessarily meet an individual that is not, they fall outside of those biases is basically what I'm trying to say. And so, is that person, you have to look at, is that person ideal for you? What does partnership mean to you? What does partnership mean to that person? What is going to be successful for your household? We also have to understand that this is not Bible times to be comfortable silence. I feel that it's not Bible times. This is not then, this is not whatever or something AD or before Christ. Like, this is not that. Like, we have to get out of this concept that we can exist outside of one another. Relationship is a choice. Relationship is not an agreement that our families are making on our behalf, even though there are, still those cultural things there. But I'm talking about, here in the United States, typically, marriage or relationship is not something that is happening out of financial obligation. It's not something, I wasn't brought up my whole life being taught how to be somebody's wife. I was taught how to be an individual with a voice, someone that's articulate, someone that's intelligent, someone that can make my own way. You know, and there's a lot more women that are being taught that, and that doesn't mean that I'm not a good wife. It just means that I wasn't put on this earth just to be the other half of someone else, but that I can still come alongside someone else and be an asset. I definitely agree with that. I don't want to ignore my commenters here. And so I am going to say, I have a comment from Mojo. I think it's how you perceive the person. And I agree that there are biases. Absolutely. There definitely are religious biases. I mean, it's all through the Bible. Women are supposed to do that, they're not supposed to do this, they're capable of this, they're not capable of that, they're supposed, but there's also, but I don't want to leave it on that end. There's also biases for men. There's a scripture, and I'm not quoting it directly, but essentially there's a scripture that says a man that doesn't provide for his family is worse than an infidel. And so basically, it's saying if you're not a provider, you literally just, you have no value. You pretty much betrayed your family. But we live in a world where that's not necessarily true anymore. Your way of giving to your family might be that you can give your time. You spend time with the kids. You do pick up and drop off, while your wife travels or whatever the case may be. So I mean, there are definitely scriptures in there that talk um about males and what their role is supposed to be, which also puts a lot of stress on males. That's unnecessary. Men know how to cook for themselves now. They know how to iron their own clothes. They know how to wash their own clothes. They know how to take care of themselves. They're looking for a partner that complements them, but they don't necessarily need a mother to take care of them. And so teaching that concept is outdated, for the man and for the woman. And so it's all about understanding where we are now, and really equipping the next generation to be able to coexist and come together in a way that is advantageous for both. So, with that being said, Mojo, I thank you so much for your time, Lucille. I see you there. I thank you for being there, Michael. I thank you for being there, Dante. I love having you on, Mr. Mochismo. And then there's me. Thank you to everybody who was listening on YouTube live. Sorry I wasn't able to get on Facebook. Technical difficulties. Life was lifing, and that's just what that is. But thank you for everybody who tuned in on TikTok, everybody who liked. Please continue to follow and share and share some more, because that is how we grow. I appreciate every single person that is involved in this podcast, Mr. Mochismo. I'm hoping to have you back next week, as well as Mojo and many others. Please make sure you subscribe. Lucille, please subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you next week, hopefully at 6 o'clock. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, 6 o'clock p.m. on the dot next Thursday. All right. Thanks so much. I know, Mo, because I wasn't here. All right. I'll see you guys next week.